one of the most difficult exams, I think it has to be CP1. I call it the beast exam.
And then you have a transition from like life insurance to the general insurance industry. So can you differentiate within them, like for the peoples like who are currently not aware of these terms?
Please do not enter this profession. Actuarial is considered to be one of the toughest profession, right? It's not toughest because of its subject, right? Subjects are very overlapping with any other professional course you do.
After a hectic day, what is your go-to way relax? Like,
And just telling about my day, probably telling some frustration if I am having with my job, and just having usual banter with the families usually.
yeah. So, hi everyone, welcome to the podcast Actuarial Journeys with our brilliant students. So, today we have a very special guest here. She has got the number, the strategy, and the story. Meet Drishti Goel, a qualified actuary who started her journey in life insurance but didn't stop there. Although she failed her first actuarial exam, but didn't let that stop her. Today, she is diving into general insurance, blending analytics with adventure in her career. Let's unpack her story from exam challenges to real world impact. Hi, Drishti. Welcome to the podcast. Let's have your quick introduction to the audience.
And really, thank you so much for such a kind introduction. Hi everyone, I am Drishti Goel. I am a qualified actuary with a specialization in life insurance. However, over the years, I found myself to be drawn towards general insurance, and that's when I made a switch to general insurance, and that's the area currently that I'm pursuing and exploring. Uh, Actuarial science is a very special course to me. I think it's more than numbers. It's for me, it's about problem solving, adapting to change, and creating the impact. So this profession has not only shaped my technical skills, but has also helped me grow personally and build character along the way.
Great, Drishti. So, thank you for this kind introduction. So, let's move forward with the questions. Before proceeding ahead, the one question which I have in my mind that whenever we like ask students like about their journey, so we always have one exam which always bothers us while preparing any exam. So, what was the most difficult exam for you while preparing for actuarial science?
That's a good question. I think each exam has its own journey, I would say. But if I talk about one of the most difficult exams, I think it has to be CP1. I call it the beast exam uh, because it is. I mean, it's just like that. I think that's the nature of it, and I think not only for me, if I say for most of the people that I have talked to, CP1 is still one of their most difficult exams that they have faced. Uh, so, but ironically, I think it's also quite interesting that it is still my favorite exam, uh, because it not only brings concepts from different subjects, but it also really compels you to broaden your thinking and think into different direction.
Mm-hmm.
However, talking about the challenges, I think my biggest challenge with CP1 was learning how to expand my thinking such that I can create not only good quality points, but also good quantity of points that are expected by the examiner based on the marks and the requirement of the question. But also to manage that, to structure your answer in a given time constraint of 3 hours or 3.5 hours of exam, whatever is the time frame. So this exam just not only just tests your technical knowledge, but it also tests your ability to think very strategically under the pressure. So that's really why it has been most challenging, but yeah, quite interesting as well so far.
Okay, yeah, yeah. So that's something many students relate to, like regarding the exam. But as you mentioned about your like small consistent efforts regarding the exam, so that makes the bigger difference. So love that part as well. Okay, as we are discussing about the exams, so like how did you like as you mentioned that you how did you overcome with that? So, what was the role of task? Like, what was your first encounter of task? like as you started your initiated your journey with us. So how was your experience with us as well?
So, like we're talking about the first encounter, I think I first heard about Taj when I was actually going through some, I wanted to understand some concept. I'm not sure which
Mm-hmm.
exam was it, but I came across the name through, I think one of the YouTube videos that have been posted about that particular concept. So that was quite helpful. And then I searched about it and I came across that it was at that time one of
Mm-hmm.
the only institute or one of the very few institute that was providing coaching for a very large range of subjects.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about how Taj really helped me. So one very good thing about Taj and that what I really like is the regular test series that is organized by Taj. So what uh, it helped me in three domains basically. Firstly, those helped me to bring the necessary discipline into the life, which is
Mm-hmm.
very essential when you start working and you have to manage exam alongside. So that's one. Another thing is that the feedback that was provided during the test series helped me bridge that gap and analyze that gap that was there between probably my answers and the examiner answers. So that was quite important to see from that perspective. And I think third was that just appearing for those exams, puts you into that environment to set how you would do in your actual exam. So giving that particular test series on a regular basis in a simulated environment just trains
Mm-hmm.
your mind to think in such an environment. So that's where Taj really helped me out.
Okay, that's an incredible journey, truly motivating for everyone listening. Thank you, Drishti, for mentioning that. Okay, so I have just like one follow-up question on that as well. Like as you mentioned, like can you share one tip that worked best for you while preparing for the exam? As you mentioned about like the exams, we are discussing currently about the exam series. So what was that one tip which worked best for you while preparing for actual exams?
I think, like I mentioned, right, appearing for just showing up for any test
Mm-hmm.
series for that matter and preparing and appearing for lot of past papers, practicing a lot of past papers
Mm-hmm.
just helps you because once you start, from CP1 onwards, I would say, it's not just about the content that is there in the course books that is provided. It's also about how you apply it in the given situation
Mm-hmm.
tested by the exams. So
Okay.
past exam papers and those tests really helps you to think in that
Mm-hmm.
direction. So just not relying on the course notes and completing the syllabus doesn't help you. Uh, giving those answering those questions really helps. So that's one thing. I think another thing is having good notes. Usually people are not in the habit of making notes. That at least my observation has been. But the syllabus for the exams are usually humongous, especially something
Mm-hmm.
like CP1, right? So having good quality notes are really essential. And given now that the exam pattern has changed, it's from open book to closed book. Uh, and you can't refer book or code reading as readily as you could do that previously.
Mm-hmm.
So having good notes by your side when you are in the last leg of your journey towards the exam, last revision days,
Mm-hmm.
you can't practice papers, you can't go through the entire course notes. So those notes, well organized notes that you have, really helps you to go through the entire syllabus in a very
Mm-hmm.
short amount of time. So I think these were the two things that really helped me out during my exam prep.
Yeah. So as you mentioned, then you have a transition from like life insurance to the general insurance industry. So can you differentiate within them, like for the peoples like who are currently not aware of these terms?
Yeah. Okay. So if I tell you difference between life insurance and general insurance, they majorly differ on three bases.
Mm-hmm.
One is time horizon, another is risk type, and the third is the modeling approach, which is again dependent upon the first two factors that I talked about, the time horizon and risk type. So if I talk about life insurance, so life insurance deals with long-term risk. So it's a bigger
Mm-hmm.
time horizon that we are looking at, and we see things like life expectancy, mortality, and health events. So what work do actuaries do in life insurance? So actuaries in life insurance focus on long-term projects, uh, long-term projections, using mortality tables, life expectancy assumptions, discounting future cash flows, etc. Now, here the goal of the actuaries is to ensure that the premium that is collected at the
Mm,
start or today can be used to meet the claims that would come years down the line. So, the time horizon that we
mhm,
are looking at is long term.
mm,
Whereas when we talk about general insurance, it often deals with risks such as property risk, motor accidents, or liability claims, which are relatively very short duration, right? So the focus here is on the frequency and severity modeling, basically looking for two answers: how often the claims occur and how much each claim can cost to the company. So the work here is more dynamic, such that, and why? Because the risk and exposure change very rapidly, and hence the reserves are needed to be calculated on a very short cycle as compared to your life cycle
mhm.
or to life insurance. In summary, basically life insurance can be equated to ensuring long term stability and security, whereas general insurance can be equated to short term protection against
Mhm.
unexpected losses.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for giving this precise version of the like whatever you said. So thank you for giving this crisp version of that as well. It will help our listeners to finding out the difference and also to also find out like where they want to be. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Drishti, as you said, like about the life insurance and general insurance, that sound fascinating. So, I have one question as well. As you have experienced in both reinsurance and broking, so can you explain like the difference between the both to the
Yeah.
listeners and to me as well?
Yeah. Uh, okay. I'll try to explain that with a very real life example, which I use when I was trying to understand it. So, let's imagine a big pizza party. And so reinsurance is that friend who will agree
Hmm.
to take some slices of pizza for you because you're stuck with the whole pizza and you're not able to complete it, right? So what actually is help in reinsurance area, they basically help you assess how big that pizza slice is, which is how big your risk is. um, is it fair for you to keep everything with you? What part of slice or how many slices do you need to pass on to them? So that's essentially the course, and that's essentially the work that is done in reinsurance, and that's essentially the aim of reinsurance. If we talk about broking, on the other hand, so imagine broking to be that friend of yours who will help you order the pizza. So he will going to advise you on how much pizza you can get and how many slices you need, and it can even help you to negotiate the price for that pizza. So here, actuaries and broking usually focus on advising clients, optimizing their costs, and then placing the right insurance or reinsurance cover for you. So that's essentially the difference. I hope
Okay.
that that makes
It's
sense.
so interesting. Yeah, it's so interesting. Like I can even like explain it to others, to my friends, even I'm not from the same domain. Thank you for
Yeah.
this good example and for this version of your explanation. Okay, so let's have a personal conversation with you. Okay, so looking back on your career so far, like what's the one milestone or achievement that you were proud of currently?
Hmm. I think just summarizing into one would be difficult because at present I can think of three. So and I'm not able to keep. I will put any one of them at a bigger pedestal. So I'll just mention all three of them. I think first milestone I would say would be clearing three exam in a single sitting. That was, I think, 3 years back. So it was quite a turning point for me, and it was quite unheard of at that point of time 3 years back. I see people doing that now, and it's amazing that people are able to achieve that. At that time when I did, I didn't really hear of that. Whoever I used to tell was told me it was quite ambitious, and it was quite ambitious, and it was quite risky as well. But I'm glad that I did take that leap of faith, took that ambitious step, if I may say, because that paved my way to associateship at the age of 21. So it was quite
Mhm.
young at that time. So that's one. I think the second one is the transition from life insurance to general insurance. Uh, so the transition might not sound that of a milestone, but it was a milestone for me because I was already preparing for the last exam. Uh, and when I was switching, I was also getting opportunities in life insurance. Uh, but because I liked the work in my current team so much, uh, I wanted to take that leap of faith, and I'm glad I did that because now that has opened up new learning opportunities and perspective for me. But again, that was another milestone. And I think third, but obvious, is just clearing my fellowship exam. So those memories are still vivid in my mind. It just felt that, culmination of all the hard work, of all the years, sweat,
Yeah.
determination, sacrifice was all worth it on that day. So yeah, I mean, these three milestones that have really truly shaped who I am as a person, my career, um, as well as, yeah, my journey throughout.
Yeah, incredible. Yeah, very incredible journey that you have. Truly motivating for the like person whoever will listen these podcasts. Thank you for mentioning that. So, Deshti, as you shared your journey with us and also your journey in your professional life. So, I just want like one advice for the currently the students who are preparing currently and also for the future aspirants which you would like to give.
Okay, I would say, okay, so I'll just break my answer into two parts. I would say that uh, for people who are currently preparing for exam, is first please start your preparation well in advance. I think, for example, if you're appearing in April, right, you have 6 months. So
Mm,
instead of waiting until you appear for your exam, I think you, whatever is in part of your plan, start planning a bit ahead. Start studying because right now you would be studying out of uh, I mean, you won't be desperate or you won't be in a hurry to study. So I think it's a
mm,
very good time to start to take that lead, uh, because you would then get a good amount of time for your past papers as well.
mm,
So that's one advice. I think second advice is please do not be afraid of failures. That's one another thing that I've observed during my journey. Um, is that people usually, when they prepare, they have that hint of failure, which is I think
mm,
important because it helps you motivate, but it also
mm.
uh, is too much of anything is wrong, right? So just having
Yeah.
that too much of fear of failure is not the right thing. I think the motivation to study something new is really important.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Failure is not the end of the world,
Yeah.
and I truly tell what I really like about actuarial is that failure is celebrated. So when I say celebrated, it basically means that no one is going to come and point fingers at you that because you failed so and
Mm-hmm.
so exam. People are going to come and more bond with you rather if you won't
Yeah.
fail. So that's another thing. So please do not be afraid of failure. And
Mm-hmm.
thirdly, when people are afraid of failure, they do not tend to take the risk, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you are willing and if you are planning to say appear for 2 or 3 exams in a single sitting, but what is stopping you is again your fear of failure, please do not let that do. Obviously, be calculated while taking the risk, but
Yeah.
always try if you want to do. The worst that can happen is failure,
Mm-hmm.
obviously, but it is not something that is the end of the world. It would be like, okay, just you have just at least tried.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my three advice. I think short advice to the people who are appearing for exams this next attempt. And I think advice for the people who want to pursue actuarial science uh, would be firstly, please do not enter this profession because you have seen some of your family member doing it, or if you have heard some ridiculous figure of the salary that you can expect
Mm-hmm.
from this profession. uh, Please only come into the profession if you really like the subjects
Yeah.
that it revolves around,
Mm-hmm.
because motivation is the right key. Motivation should only be for the right reasons to come in. So that's one thing. So be very sorted with what you like in the subject. Go through what is there in the course, what are the subjects in the course, right? Secondly, I think please be very realistic with your salary expectations. I know there's a myth
Mm-hmm.
that goes around in actuarial, and it's a running joke within the community, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
About that 1 CR figure. Please be very realistic. You can get that figure, but
Mm-hmm.
definitely at the right time in your career. Please
Mhm.
understand salary is a culmination and driven by three important factors: the number
Mhm.
of exams that you have cleared, the number of years of experience that you have, and thirdly, and very importantly, what value that you are adding to the company where you are.
Mhm.
Right? You can't expect just a fresh out of college getting 1 year salary, or just freshly you are qualified, you are getting 1 year of salary. You need to justify that figure, right? So
Mhm.
that's secondly very important thing. But I can assure you that the salaries that are given, or whatever the salary structure is there in the profession, is at par with any of other professional courses that you do.
Mhm. Yeah.
And the third thing is
Mhm.
that please understand, actuarial is not a sprint; it's a
Mhm.
marathon, right? Uh, Actuarial is considered to be one of the toughest profession, right? It's not toughest because of its subject, right? Subjects are very overlapping with any other professional course you do. What makes it more difficult is the fact that you need to manage those clearing those 13 exams with a full-time job,
Yeah.
right? So having that sort of commitment to the profession, that for next 5 to 6 years probably I will have to forget what my friends or peers are doing, probably going to party, going my, sacrificing some aspects of your social life, would be essential. So if you are ready for that sort of commitment, please come in. But if you are thinking that that's not my cup of tea, I think there are better places where you can excel. So I think if you are if your expectations, motivations, and your commitment are in line with all of these things that I've mentioned, I think actuarial profession is for you.
Yeah.
It's very rewarding, and yeah, I mean and the demand for the profession is ever increasing. I say as the risk would increase in the world, the demand for actuaries would always increase. So I mean, as uncertainty would increase, we are going to
Yeah.
be there. So it's a great career profession, but I think it's very important that your aspirations are in line.
Yeah, perfectly said. Great advice for the like pursuing and actuaries and also for the aspiring one as well. Like if you are keeping those figures in mind, like if I talk about actuarial science, so this is the like only exam which I also feel that even clearing 2, 3 exams, you will get a good job. Okay, not very high paying job, but a job which like which will go good with your like college life or your professional life, and while doing that job, you will get increment, you will get a lot of growth by clearing the exams. And also, like you are getting leaves, you are being paid, you are
Yeah,
getting hikes to
yeah,
clear the exam. So I think this is the only profession, I don't know about the others, but this is the one of the profession which is very rewarding. For the like if a student is willing to crack the exam and if they are dedicating some efforts, so yeah, your professional life is also complementary to that. So I feel yeah. So thank you, Destiny, for mentioning those points. Yeah. So let's have that personal touch of your personal life, like beyond your professional life. Destiny actually, like Destiny has a personal life as well. So let's discuss that as well.
yeah.
Okay. So Destiny, like I like after a hectic day, what is your go-to way relax? Like
Um, So I live with my family. So I think just going and sitting with them, yeah, having a dinner and just telling about my day, probably telling some frustration if I am having with my job, and just having usual banter with the family is usually
yeah.
my go-to way to unwind. And otherwise as well, just probably listening to music, scrolling through Instagram, talking to friends is another way that I usually unwind.
Nice. Yeah, always good to unwind.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, if you weren't an actuary, what other career path you would have chosen?
Okay. Uh, if I tell you honestly, I mean, from the very beginning, as far as I remember, I always imagined myself dressed up in formal attires, carrying a briefcase, laptop bag, and going to office in my car. That has always been what I have imagined myself to be. So I'm glad that I am able to live to that sort of aspiration to a certain extent. But if I talk about if any other thing that I ever imagined to be, probably would be civil services. There was a phase that I was quite I still like history as a subject a lot. I am quite interested
Mhm.
in that, usually read about it, watch documentaries. So I think that stemmed from there. I wanted to prepare for civil services and become an IS officer. But yeah, then I realized that maths is the way. And so yeah, and that's where I made the switch. But yeah, I mean, if I wasn't doing this, then probably civil services would be the thing that I might be appearing for or preparing for.
Yeah, that's the fun one. Like I love hearing these stories, and like I'm also imagining like seeing this tea as an IPS officer. So that would also be
That's
a,
a
yeah,
lovely
like
thing.
a great experience indeed. Okay, so thank you, Dishti, for coming in the podcast. It was a great discussion with you,
Thank you
and
so much for inviting me. Thank you so much for inviting me.
okay, okay. Yeah, thank you for coming in the podcast and also like the way you have shared your journey, experiences and insights with us today. I'm sure that listeners will learn it a lot from you. Okay, once the podcast will be live. So you can see like it is a great podcast indeed for me as well because as I have getting insight from you. So a very truly, if I would say that a very pleasing personality which you are carrying and also the guidance which you are giving to the like listeners for our like aspiring actuaries and for the students who are preparing, they would really appreciate. So thank you so much for giving such good advices and also sharing your experiences and your personal life as well with us. So thank you so much for all those pointers as well. Okay, so we will like to have in future podcasts with you like as like we had today. So thank you so much for coming in the podcast. Thank you.
Thank you, Nirali. Thank you for inviting me.